The people these days, they don't know what all we've sacrificed so that they may have their freedoms, and still they complain. 3 times I was conscripted to His Majesty's Royal Army, and 3 times I fought back against the company. They say society grows great when old men plant trees in whose shade they will never sit. My brothers in arms and I have planted many trees, but here they cut them down in the name of progress, giant iron behemoths spewing darkened clouds, making a mockery of everything we fought for, churning out all manner of machinery that eases their labors, and yet they have the gall to complain? Some brazenly speak against the Maharaja. Others target us as if we didn't give them homes to grow old in, and who knows what others among them are plotting. Change is good, they say, but this is too much. The boys grow soft for lack of war, and even softer with all this so-called industry, never having toiled on the farm, worked to the field, or pulled a plow. Meanwhile, here I sit at 60, still willing to pick up my rifle should my king call. I should hope he sees the light and keeps our empire from ruin. Dalip Bahadur, overheard at a luncheon with his friends, jingoist, celebrity commander, and leader of the landowners. Hey everybody, it's PartyElite. Welcome back to our Sikh Empire run in Victoria 3. Things continue to look pretty good. It's been smooth sailing for the last little while, and I hope to see that smooth sailing continue. You might be wondering, how can I call it smooth sailing when our budget looks absolutely horrendous? But folks, we've been using all this money for good cause. We've been making a lot of progress as far as development is concerned, as far as industrialization is concerned, so I'm very pleased to spend all that money to, as I say always, make money. You gotta spend money to make money, and that's exactly the stage we're in right now. Looking at some of the early comments that have come through on the previous episode's comment section, it seems as though, by and large, most, if not all of you who have commented so far, are leaning towards a continued time of peace. We're going to wait until our infamy drops a bit further, and again, at the end of the day, if my patience wears too thin, that might trump everything, but I do take all your opinions and thoughts into consideration, of course, so we are going to keep the peace alive, even though our war reparations are about to disappear in just about 5 days' time. So we'll see how much that starts to hurt us and just how much of a difference it makes, and that might weigh in on the conversation as well. But for the time being, I do feel comfortable sort of sticking with peace and allowing, again, our infamy to drop and keep this development going. We've been doing a very good job of reducing radicalism. Again, the moment we conquer more territory, it's going to skyrocket again. We've been doing a very good job of pushing the number of loyalists higher and higher as well. So why throw all that away for just, 2 states when we could actually wait a little bit longer and perhaps take 3 states and a couple of puppets, while also, starting with a lower baseline of new radicals to add into our nation. With that said, and on the topic of money as far as our diplomatic pacts are concerned, there was an interesting point brought up in the comments that I would like to address as well with regards to the minimal government wages we've been paying. Some of you have suggested that despite me wanting to keep the intelligentsia in power and enable them to be stronger and stronger, I am actually stifling that growth by paying them minimal wages. Now, here's the thing. In theory, you would be correct, and that's why the intelligentsia and petite bourgeoisie are the ones targeted by government wages, as you can see, as far as their approval is concerned. However, because of the Sikh Empire start and because of how the Indian subcontinent is actually laid out at the start date, things are a little different. So just a couple things to touch on over here. You'll notice the intelligentsia have been gaining clout over time. I mean, this only goes back so many years, about 10 years or so. But you can see the sort of ebbing and flowing of their clout. They started extremely weak at the beginning of this playthrough, obviously, so they have been accumulating wealth and they have been growing over time. But the question, I guess, and the issue that's being proposed is that low government wages is hurting those guys. So why don't we go ahead and take a quick look at our government administration building here in Punjab and take a look at the breakdown of the workforce over here, and you'll see, yes, there are quite a few bureaucrats for sure, and these guys are by and large going to be intelligentsia, but you can also see that they're by and large petite bourgeoisie, only slightly lesser in number. Okay, fair enough. Why don't we take a look at these aristocrats over here who are of middling income, which is actually bothering them a lot. They are by and large landowners, and about a third of this count is actually intelligentsia as well. Double that is armed forces. So as you can see, just because the reduced wages for our government employees hits the intelligentsia and petite bourgeoisie's approval rating, it doesn't mean that it necessarily hits their wealth disproportionately as well. Here, for example, you can see all these clergymen are by and large of the Sikh priesthood, and only 122 over here are of the intelligentsia. So our reduced wages are affecting the other interest groups far more than the intelligentsia. At least that's the read I've gotten so far. I might be a little off, obviously. We're just investigating the one government administration building over here, so why don't we go ahead and take a look at the other one in, I believe, North Bengal has a fairly large one. In fact, it's a larger one than the one at Punjab. The aristocrats over here make up about 3.5k employees, and they are largely, it seems to be, landowners. Bureaucrats over here, these guys are primarily intelligentsia, it seems. So, all right, fair enough. 7k there are being hurt. Over here, more landowners, and over here these clerks are inactive, so they're not a part of any group, and I think that's primarily because of their faith. In fact, all of these guys, despite their participation in the interest groups, they're not actually making a difference because they're all discriminated against. So I think we're safe to keep government wages down and still be able to empower the intelligentsia. In fact, I would go so far as to say that keeping government wages down is keeping all of the other interest groups down, while allowing the intelligentsia to flourish elsewhere. I mean, for example, if we take a look instead at our university over here, the academics are all members of the intelligentsia by and large. Even here, though, still there is a bit of a spread. Down over here, we have largely Sikh priesthood, so it looks like even at the universities, there's more of a spread than even I was anticipating. So there you have it. Hopefully that will continue to trend this way, but as we do have more of the intelligentsia working at the government buildings and at the universities, we should absolutely, yes, start to shift how our wages are distributed, because don't forget the government wages also cover things like ports, right? So there is a huge variety of interest groups covered underneath that conversation, though yes, of course, we will see the intelligentsia more often than not, because bureaucrats are pretty much everywhere the government is involved, and bureaucrats tend to lean towards the intelligentsia, and that's exactly what you're seeing when you see it. Either way, hopefully I didn't belabor that point too much, and I apologize if I did. I do have a tendency to do that from time to time. Just wanted to make sure I was being crystal clear. With that done, let's go ahead and let time move forward again. We're going to be doing a lot of development and just industrialization. We want to make sure we stay on top of the future, basically, and stay ahead of the curve as far as the East India Company is concerned. But of course, we are also wary of France and what they might be capable of, as it seems as though a huge war is going down over here. My goodness, Prussia and Russia are going at it, and it looks like Prussia's having a good time just fighting through Russia in December. That's always gone well, right? Always fight a winter war in Russia, something like that. That's how the saying goes, right? Either way, war reparations have been broken, so we have taken a bit of a hit to our economy. We'll see how this looks after all the construction is done. It seems as though we should be around positive 20 or so K if we remove the construction goods. At the same time, the investment pool continues to grow. We're going to let that keep happening. And on the topic of the investment pool, I'm reminded of another comment that I saw with regards to the cheapness of fertilizer in our empire. We are using fertilizer at our farms by and large. There might be maybe one or two here or there that aren't using fertilizer. But no, we just have, sure, we can add them at the millet farms, I suppose, but we just have, I guess, so much fertilizer that the price is staying at a decent rate. I mean, this has helped. No, still at a decent rate. I mean, that's fine. It doesn't hurt to have decent pricing, right? So we'll keep that as is. Sugar stays tremendously cheap, which is good to see as well. Again, a brand new obsession for our people, but hopefully keeping it cheap and having it be an obsession at the same time is going to help out in a variety of ways. We should definitely consider, by the way, investing in some other farms as opposed to just making more and more coffee plantations all the time. And we should also definitely consider opium, because now opium has gone from being just a recreational drug to actually being an essential part of our military industrial complex, right? We actually now need people to have access to first aid, and first aid needs both fabric and opium. So just something to keep in mind. The conscription centers in Sikh Rajputana, I think, are, yes, also in need of adjustment over here, because they got downgraded when the little mini secession happened. Can't even call it a secession. They didn't even actually secede. I mean, they tried and they backed down before they even committed. So is that even a secession? Oh, this is interesting. East India Company have declared France to be their rival. This is very interesting that they would try to pick a fight with somebody who's present in their neighborhood, but also infinitely more powerful than them. I'm very curious to see how this develops, and I see some of you in the comments are as well. I'm just not sure if Great Britain is about to get involved. And truth be told, the next time we do declare war on the East India Company, we're going to declare war on the East India Company itself. I think we are able to do that now. I think we have the strength to overwhelm them and overpower them and to take them on directly with all of their puppets included. And that might actually attract the interest of some of the great powers on our side of the conflict, because they might have a vested interest in the, you know, politics of this region, and seeing all the rivalries and stuff be like enacted, or whatever you want to call it, declared, I suppose. Seeing all that happen tells me that yes, there is definitely an interest in the subcontinent from some of those other great powers. I realize that I haven't checked in on our iron mines for a while, and yes, I knew it. There were iron mines in North Bengal that are still using the atmospheric engine pump. Let's go ahead and get them using the condensing engine pump instead, and we have to be very wary again about the cost to tools over here, or rather of tools, I should say, and it's just a matter of market access. That's why North Bengal is paying through the roof. As you can see, the market-wide price is significantly lower. So why don't we go ahead and actually invest in that? We have the investment pool with a fair bit of money now, so they should be able to get the railway going in North Bengal, and that means both South and North Bengal will have the railway, which is just a nice touch, while South Bengal has its ports maximized as well. Yes, we do. Excellent. On the topic of maximizing things, I wonder if we aren't able to actually get rid of this trade route with Great Britain. We no longer need their lead. We no longer need, or are in fact receiving, their engines. And I suppose we could get rid of our imports of sulfur and engines from France as well, and just free up some bureaucracy and perhaps allow all that to be produced at home and improve our GDP a bit as well. We'll see how it plays out, but at the same time, let's just take a look at the ammunition situation over here. Yeah, it is ridiculously expensive. I cannot believe they are willing to pay the tariffs on these. They're staying at level 1, and hopefully they're not going to get any higher in level. That's good, because I do want to try and keep ammunition at home, right? I don't want it all to be taken away. Now, our munitions plant is about to upgrade in about 5 weeks' time. Hopefully that'll make enough of a difference over here, because we are paying through our teeth for the bullets over here. If we take a look at our goods for military buildings, I mean, ammunition is the second most expensive item on the list over here. We are obviously going to invest further in our arms industries as well. We are already doing that, in fact, but I want to do it a bit more, because the lower we can get these prices to be, the happier I'll be, and the better our overall balance sheet is going to be as well. All right, just one more week to go, and hopefully that'll balance out some of these prices. But as these guys get completed, I noticed that we are just ever so slightly away from being the #1 producer of coffee. And so despite what I said literally moments ago, we're going to go ahead and double expand the coffee plantations at Mysore once more. I think the investment pool has not got enough money to pull this off. No, they do not. But hey, they'll get us partway there, and then the government funding will finish the job off, right? But I just want to take that top spot, and I just want to see if we can't get ourselves to a high enough rank to become a great power. That would be pretty cool. Well, I don't like this. Russia seems interested in South India, of all things. I hope that's for trade and diplomacy purposes and nothing else, which reminds me, we should actually add to our interests too. We have quite a few available to us now as we've become a major power. It means we're able to get a maximum of 4 going. So maybe we should go ahead and get, let's see, an interest going in the Rhine. That should give us access to a few markets. I think that'll give us access to the Prussian market, right? If we take a look at the markets map mode over here, yeah, that'll give us access to the French market and the Prussian market and not much else. It'll also give us access, I think, to the British market by virtue of, yeah, the land over there. Sure, let's go ahead and declare that interest. Why don't we go ahead and declare an interest in the North African market as well? We'll get access to the Spanish, the Algerian market. I mean, is that going to make a difference? The Tunisian market? Not sure if that's worth anything. Do we have any strategic interests in the region is the other question, and I don't really think so. Why don't we go ahead and declare an interest in Arabia? It doesn't cost anything to declare interest, so it's not a bad idea to get some of them going. We could declare an interest in North China, I suppose, or maybe Central Asia, and that'll get us Russia. It'll get us the Kievan market as well. And does that include? Yeah, it does include a bit of the Qing market as well as Qing territory if we decide that we need to go to war with them to force them to open their market, right? We can then consider also Indonesia and Indochina, or do we already? No, I'm actually maxed out there. Who do I get rid of? Do I get rid of anybody? Nah, we'll keep it at that. Sure, sounds good. And again, we can always adjust that later. There's no cost to it, but it should hopefully open up some more options down the line in order for us to trade with some more people and just have diplomatic relations with some more people and them with us as well. And hang on a second, what do we have over here? Is that a war breaking out? There are 2 diplomatic plays active that include the French. The first one over here has to do with what? Who are you? Saxony. Why is the East India Company involved of all things? Oh, I see. Because France is supporting the peasant revolt over here, and so the East India Company is trying to punish France for that. I'm very curious to see if the EIC takes some damage over here, because that would be quite helpful for us as well. It's like the game is baiting us into a situation over here. They're trying to get us to declare war, and as I say that, we get access to nitroglycerin. It's like really adding fuel to the fire, nitroglycerin to the fire, as the case might be. We'll look at that in just a moment, because I want to see this other diplomatic play as well. This one is between Prussia and Schwarzburg, and it looks like, oh, France isn't actually involved, but they could get involved if they wanted to. My oh my, look at this. This could be an interesting situation. There's France though. All right, fair enough. Just wanted to see why there was this fiery line over here. Now, with nitroglycerin researched, we're able to pick our next research, and I'm just not sure where we're going to go. I mean, I suppose we could chase after dynamite. It'll take 4 years to research, and it'll give us access to dynamite for all of our mines. It'll increase productivity significantly, which is always nice to see. And it also leads us to pump jacks, which are very helpful for our plantations. And this is something I've been in the back of my mind hoping to work towards for a very long time. It does require engines, but you can see just how much of a difference it can make in terms of productivity. So that might be the way to go. We would need the steam donkey as well, which would also take us 4 years. This will be something we can add to our mines too. Again, it does eat up some coal, but it takes away laborers, which I know I was excited about doing previously, but for the time being, I'm going to pace myself on that front. Can't have too many people getting fired while we're trying to actively reduce radicalism, right? So we could go with dynamite. Here's a fun fact about dynamite. The inventor of dynamite went on to create the Nobel Peace Prize. I believe Nobel was, if memory serves me correctly, and feel free to verify this, but he didn't want his legacy to be something that was so destructive and responsible for death and devastation, and so he decided that he would create the Peace Prize so that when people thought of his name, they would think about the Nobel Peace Prize as opposed to dynamite. And it worked. I mean, if you think about the word Nobel, what comes to mind first, right? Knocking on the door, followed by the Peace Prize. Anyway, do we go with dynamite though? I digress. Of course, there are the hydraulic cranes as well that'll allow us to upgrade our ports and improve trade, so there's options. You know what? Because this will just take 29 months, we'll go with the hydraulic cranes, and then we can flip back and chase after dynamite. Chances are dynamite might spread to us, which is promising, and we'll see what happens and how things play out. Make some adjustments if need be, but yeah, hydraulic cranes and then perhaps dynamite after that. Meanwhile, over here at Delhi, we have a farming boom. The encouragement of agricultural development in Delhi has led to a small spike in production at our tea plantations. We should look into using this before it goes to waste. Our people will eat like kings. Starvation will be but a thing of the past for our citizens. Let us use this to our advantage and not only help ourselves, but also others. At a cost, of course. Let them know that we are the way forward. All right, boost our farms further. It'll help Delhi's agriculture, ranches, and plantations. Good stuff, good stuff. And on the topic of plantations, just want to take a look at our coffee plantations down over here and our position as a coffee producer for the world. We're getting there. We're so very close. My goodness, am I chasing a white whale? Is coffee our white whale? We're going to wait until the investment pool fills up a little bit. I do not want to be wasteful. I can be patient. I can be patient. Now, seeing the Sikh priesthood get unhappy down over here at the bottom right corner reminds me that for a long time we've wanted to get the religious schools going. Now, the reason why we haven't been doing that is because getting schools going is going to cost us a tremendous amount of bureaucracy that we simply cannot afford. However, with North Bengal and its massive government administration building, I just wonder if we actually get them using the standardized filing system, now that we've built up some of those paper mills, will we see, ooh, we're just short. We're just short of enough bureaucracy here. So for the time being, let's go ahead and bring it back down to simple organization, keep the costs down so our balance can stay up, and keep the costs of paper down as well. But it's good to know that maybe a few more upgrades to some of our government admin buildings, or maybe a little bit more conquest, is all we need before we can actually get the school institutions up and running as well. Definitely want to get those religious schools to help with conversion and to reduce discrimination, and more specifically radicalism from discrimination. But my goal was starting to shift into just getting our private schools or public schools going rather than using the religious schools as a stepping stone. But for the time being, having some education is better than no education, I suppose. However, bureaucracy is still our limiting factor, as is, of course, the amount of money we're generating. I'd like to get a bit of a pool going over here as far as our gold reserves are concerned, and then maybe we'll build some more paper mills, and that way the cost, at least to the government, will stay down when we do upgrade those government administration buildings and how they actually go about doing their business. Now, at the same time, if we look at North Bengal, I imagine there's a decent bit of tax wastage going on over here. Yeah, negative 91% tax collection. Doesn't matter right now because we haven't actually incorporated the state, but that's good to know. And what about down at Mysore? They have negative 62.2% with just 5 weeks remaining to actually incorporate it. Interesting. And on the topic of interesting, the Rhine interest has been activated, and it looks as though Sher Dillon, the leader of the intelligentsia, has retired from political life once more by virtue of dying. So who now is in charge of the intelligentsia? Dalip Singh. He is pious, he's a bandit, and he seems to also be a bit of a jingoist. Fair enough. So he'll be a little bit happier because of our professional army, I think. He's also a fan of colonial exploitation, I see. What's it looking like over here? I mean, geez, still pretty rough despite that +1. We just need to get rid of some of the radicals, don't we? We're getting there, though. We're doing a decent job of that. Now, what has this Rhine interest opened up for us? Why don't we go ahead and take a look at the option to import, let's say, engines. The Austrian market and the Prussian market are now available to us. What if we try to export, let's say, dyes? Anything valuable up over there? Yeah, you know what? These guys could make us a decent bit of money. The Austrians are a fan of dye, it would seem. Why don't we go ahead and actually do that? Because dye's pretty cheap locally, at least, right? So it seems to be the most productive of our options over here. Let's go for it. Sugar is also dirt cheap in our market, so why don't we go ahead and send some out to, oh my, we've got a couple of options over here. So first of all, the Russian market, not as productive, but a lot will be actually shipped, so let's go for that. And then we can go ahead and ship some out to the French and maybe some to the Austrians as well. Not all of them are going to level up so high. It might largely be limited by our convoy numbers, but hey, let's see what we can do, and maybe we can generate some more tariffs, right? We're at 16.4 right now. I believe that's already ticked up. Previously, we were at like 15.4 or something like that, if I recall correctly, so hopefully we can keep that upward momentum. And seeing this actually reminds me about the obsession with luxury furniture, and I just wonder if we are doing all right on that front. We're doing okay. I just wonder if we should invest in perhaps upgrading you. Yeah, okay, we have enough money left over to upgrade and actually make money at the same time, so fine. And there's our Arabia interest and Central Asia interests activated as well. We'll see if others start to trade with us. There's the Indonesia interest too. I'm sure there are plenty of options opening up as far as import and export of a variety of goods are concerned. But we'll not get too lost in the weeds because again, convoys are still our limitation. We still have to upgrade our ports and all that good stuff, which is, I suppose, why we're chasing after hydraulic cranes, right? So it looks like Pondicherry has actually been taken by the company. There was a brief battle over there, but the French hadn't sent anybody to actually defend it, so that's been taken. No surprise there. These are battles between the Egyptians and the Ottoman Empire. What do we have up over here? Do we have any battles going on? I mean, I can't get involved over here, obviously, but just curious about what's happening in that war. We'll see it play out, and I'll see some results, I suppose, down over here. Devastation is beginning. Stop ruining my territory. My future territory, but my territory nonetheless. Seems my growing interests around the world is actually attracting other people into importing our various goods over here. You can see the Sulu people from North Borneo are interested in getting some ammunition. All right, fair enough. If it'll make me money, it'll make me money, I suppose. Just got to keep an eye on those tariffs, though. I believe they're fluctuating right now. They're a bit lower than they were just moments ago. Just want to make sure we're not playing ourselves by over-exporting, right? We also want to make sure we're not playing our pops by having them pay too much for things that they shouldn't be paying too much for. My goodness, luxury furniture is way too expensive. All right, let's go ahead and see if we can't import some of it, perhaps. None of these trade routes are going to actually grow, despite them wanting to grow, I think, some of them at least, because we just don't have the convoys. So you know what? We're actually going to cancel some of those new trade routes we just made, and that way we'll free up some of those convoys to do what we need them to do. Let's go ahead and get rid of the trade here with Austria. Let's go ahead and also get rid of our dye export to them, I suppose. We'll keep the prices even further down locally. And you know what? Sugar to France can stop as well. Let's save those 53 convoys and hopefully keep prices down as well. Where did sugar go? Yeah, there we go. It's nice and cheap again. Good to see. Let's go back to luxury furniture and see if we can't import anything. And now you can see they will be leveling up because we have those convoys. So the French market seems to be the most productive, but also shipping the most number of units. So we'll go with that. And why will we not see level 5 over here? It's because of convoy count. Okay, fair enough. French market it is. Hopefully that'll help bring the price down. It's the big one right now. Luxury furniture seems to be the big one, and I do believe luxury clothes might be a bit of a problem as well, just because of the sheer quantity of consumption. I don't know, seems it's luxury furniture and services are as the biggest sort of contributors to expenses over here. Clothes and luxury clothes aren't all that far behind furniture as well. But the outliers here are certainly services and luxury furniture. We can definitely do something about services. Let's see how the middling pops feel. Do they seem similar? Services seems to be the outlier over here as well. Fair enough. And how about the lower strata over here? These guys are looking like a bit more varied. Grain is their biggest expense, fair enough, followed by clothes, okay. All right, so we could take a look at services, I suppose. I mean, we're still making progress as far as radicals is concerned, but let's try and accelerate that as best as we can, right? Why not? In order to get more services to the people, we can take a look at the urban centers and start perhaps getting gas streetlights maybe, or oh boy, that makes coal immediately extremely expensive, doesn't it? Fair enough. What about if we chase after market squares? That doesn't hurt the price of glass too much. I mean, it does make a difference, but it's not the end of the world. Let's go with Punjab to start with, and that should give us a fair number of services up there. We can go ahead and chase after South Bengal as well, just going by size, basically, and then glass immediately becomes tremendously expensive. My goodness. Okay, fair enough, fair enough. We'll hold off for the time being, because again, we are still applying downward pressure to the radical count, so I'm not in a rush. It's just something that I do want to do when money's in place and when it's viable as far as costs are concerned. We don't want to make services cheaper only to have glass become expensive and people continue to become radical because the other thing that they wanted is too pricey now. Meanwhile, it seems as though the investment pool has grown to a decent size, so why don't we once more go ahead and invest in the coffee plantations down over here, double up on that so they can both be done at around the same time. I do believe they will both take 8 weeks. Yep, correct. And again, we're just shy. We're just shy, because don't forget, obviously, that Brazil is also developing its coffee, production capabilities. So we are chasing a number that's growing. Eventually, we'll beat them, though. Eventually, we'll be there. And down over here, meanwhile, it looks like Circassia has become subservient to Russia. Russia's influence is growing, and I am a little nervous about what they might try in the near-ish future. Fortunately, we still have some buffer nations, but remember, some of these guys are in their market at the very least, so interesting tensions developing over there. Very interesting tensions. All right, now as we kick off the new year, January of 1866, we're going to see a couple of major moves. First of all, religion, autocracy, and nationality completed. That is one of our journal entries, and it's kicked off this conversation about official nationality. The state policy of religion, autocracy, and nationality has become the ubiquitous ideology of the Sikh people. There are few who dare to question the absolute authority of the Maharaja. In a state where love for Maharajas and devotion to the throne are based on the native characteristics of the people, where there are laws of the fatherland and firmness in administration, all efforts of the evil-intentioned will be in vain and insane. We can either say all hail the Maharaja, giving us much more popularity for the next 19 years, increasing the interest group political strength for the armed forces as well. We can instead say the Punjabi people are supreme, increasing the Punjabi pop's chance of becoming loyalist. I like that. It also increases national assimilation for the next 20 years. Now, we just spoke about religious assimilation and conversion, but why not talk about cultural assimilation and just assimilation of all forms? This might be the way to go. The other option, of course, is to have the Sikh priesthood show us the way. That helps with conversion. Again, assimilation versus conversion. What is our bigger issue? Ooh, that's interesting. That's very interesting. I think I would like to chase after the Punjabi people are supreme. It's a bit of a toss-up, truth be told, but if we take a look at the spread we have going on, you'll see that if we organize by religion over here, there are more cultures than there are religions in our nation right now, which I think makes sense. I think that'll almost always be the case, so maybe my methodology here is ridiculous. With that said, though, maybe we go ahead and say that the Punjabi people are supreme and start to influence people into assimilation, in particular the the ones who are discriminated, hopefully. Yeah, let's go with that, sure. The Punjabi people are supreme. Looking forward to having more of our Punjabi pops become more loyalist. Here we go with that, I suppose, and we'll see how that develops over time. We're at 161k loyalists right now. Numbers bobbing up and down a little bit, but by and large, it seems to be tracking upwards, and there's that huge bump taking us to almost 200k loyalists. I am absolutely loving it. Meanwhile, radicals took a bit of a decent hit there as well, dropping in number. And of all the states we have, only 3 are currently in turmoil due to radicals. That feels very good. You can see the colors lightening up a little bit over here. If we just pan over, you can see how the northern extents of our empire are starting to calm down. Of course, Pashtunistan is still a little bit of a challenge. Sindh and Balochistan are also somewhat of a challenge. And of course, the more recently taken Delhi, North and South Bengal, and Mysore are problematic, but hey, the numbers are dropping, and that can only be promising for the future. Meanwhile, we have over here the furniture manufactories about to complete. Hopefully this upgrade is going to help bring the price of luxury furniture down, despite the added imports as well. Nothing doing, eh? My goodness. My goodness. Well, there's the completion there. We'll check in on this in a moment's time, because the other thing I wanted to investigate was our coffee plantations that had just been completed at around the turn of the year. And they've brought us to the #1 position as far as the production of coffee is concerned. Beautiful stuff. I love it. I absolutely love it. We're going to hopefully try and hold that position. The investment pool has done very well in earning that position for us, but hopefully also the people who are employed here are enjoying that little bit of prestige that is thanks to them as well. Oh, this is interesting. Prussia and France are at war due to an ultimatum being refused, and again, I wonder if this is the game just trying to bait me into declaring war against the EIC. Again, I'm going to try and resist. Our infamy is still quite high. We're at 41 still, so I'm going to hold off and continue the development of our nation to make sure we can actually sustain that war when it comes. For example, the munitions plants are suffering from a lack of explosives, so why don't we go ahead and get some explosives going on over here in Punjab, down to our chemical plants, and they do seem to be able to maintain a full lot of employees right now, so that's wonderful. And let's go ahead and actually start using the ammonia soda process provided to us by the advent of nitroglycerin. So ammonia soda process over here that should allow us to produce more explosives, hopefully. And alongside that, we'll go ahead and introduce this new method to our mines as well. Not through this view though. Let's go ahead to our building screen, because this way we can make sure we're actually capturing everybody, right? So to the iron mines first, or no, to the coal mines first, because they are by and large the most used resource, I would say. So nitroglycerin over here, that should hopefully help out. Iron mines as well, I would say they're the second most used, so nitroglycerin for you too. What does that do to our price of explosives? It doesn't only make the price too high, it also makes them virtually unavailable. So let's undo that. Back to our coal mines. How are we looking over here? Yikes. All right, chemical plants are about to develop, right? 20 weeks time. Hopefully that'll make enough of a difference. They're already about to add some more employees, so that might do the trick alone. What with the introduction of, again, the ammonia soda process. But before we jump the gun on too many of these upgrades, I just want to be careful, right? Oh, this is an interesting turn of events. What does France want? A trade agreement with France. Ooh, this is very interesting. So having a trade agreement with France would allow us to get rid of all of the bureaucratic cost of said trade routes, right? So we just have the one, or two actually, moving liquor and luxury furniture. The thing about trade agreements is they also remove all tariffs, and that means we'll take a hit to our earnings from luxury furniture and liquor. So why don't we go ahead and take a look at our tariffs right now. Luxury furniture is a lot, and liquor is, my goodness, that is way too much to give up. That is basically our economy, almost the entirety of it, half of it. Oh, actually, a bit more than half of it. I might have to deny France. My goodness, I was so excited when the notification first popped up, but now that I see the numbers, the cold, hard facts, I don't think we can actually do this. Yeah, folks, I don't think that's gonna fly. I mean, my goodness, we are making so much money off of tariffs, off of these two trade routes. It just doesn't make sense to give it all up, especially since we are still gearing up for war in the very near future. Just because I haven't triggered it now doesn't mean it's not coming, and we need all this money to help fund the immense war machine, right? If it was like 150 or something like that with France alone, sure, that's sizable. 30? That's not worth it, especially when you consider half of our economy is relying on tariffs that are paid through trade with France. It's like making a trade agreement with the Qing, right? It just wouldn't make sense. We would lose basically all of our money. I don't think it's an option, and it's unfortunate this trade agreement will have to be declined, as it simply does not pose any value to us. In fact, it takes quite a bit away. So away with you, unfortunately, France. Thank you for thinking of me, though. It does hurt to say no, because that's pretty exciting. We are, again, under the gaze of all of these powers, right? And my God, look at France. Look at its influence in Africa. Holy, I hope I never have to go to war with France. I say as I see the blue spot in South India. The blue spot of Pondicherry. My goodness. France has a lot of territory, but territory doesn't necessarily translate into power, right? Like, these could be extremely weak and underdeveloped parts of the world. Yeah, these guys are just beginning to build their dye plantations right now. You got some tooling workshops over here, no barracks or anything. Okay. It looked a lot scarier than perhaps it actually is, but just something to keep in mind. Oh, this is hilarious. Are you for real right now? Trade agreement from the Great Qing. No, we're not going to do this. I literally addressed this before it even came up. What are the chances? But no, they are a big part of our tariffs as well. So there's no chance we're going to get rid of them. Again, we're only we've only got the one trade route with the Qing market, and it's just meat. And it seems as though the political movement to enact the right of assembly has disbanded. That's promising. I like not having the threat of revolution hanging over my head. But now we have an enact protectionism political movement. Ooh. Change in revenue from current tariff law is plus 12.7k. Hang on a second. Now you have my attention. Hang on a second. Isolationism is obviously not an option. That'll get rid of all of our trade completely. But protectionism actually sounds pretty good. Who doesn't like protectionism? Landowners and industrialists. All right. We have to make sure the landowners stay above -5 because, again, they'll otherwise implement their noble privileges. Can we do something else to appease the landowners, at least until we reduce their clout to below 5%, which isn't going to happen anytime soon? Right? Can I change our bureaucracies, or perhaps well, we're not going to change the monarchy, not yet at least, but we could consider going from hereditary bureaucrats to perhaps appointed bureaucrats or something else. I just don't know if we have the support for it among people who would actually join our government. Ooh, the petite bourgeoisie are marginalized, the intelligentsia are angry, so they won't join our government, and elected bureaucrats requires the petite bourgeoisie, who again are marginalized, so they cannot join our government. That is unfortunate. And plus, apart from that, we also can't have autocracy as our distribution of power, which we most certainly do. All right, well, that's too bad. Yeah, making the intelligentsia happy is going to really just be a matter of reducing radicalism, because that's the big hit here. The -6 is a huge problem. We're close to 300k loyalists. Wow, look at that. We are doing a good job here. What was the cause of this? Largely because of standard of living increase. Beautiful stuff. Wow, we're actually doing quite well right now on this front. But yes, this will help the increases to their approval rating through added numbers of loyalists and reduced numbers of radicalists. And I think that's all that's going to help us make that move. The other option, again, is to find overlapping laws, but all the overlapping laws are with people who are marginalized, like trade unions or petite bourgeoisie, so not an option. It stays as is for the time being. Hopefully this stays, because I could definitely use the support to try and pass protectionism and make that extra money. Do I want to be protectionist, though, right? Let's think beyond the numbers. Am I really about holding on to all of our goods? I mean, kind of. Everyone's taking our ammunition, our artillery, our small arms, so maybe protectionism is right. Maybe we've been trying to be protectionist without having the option to enable the laws to do so, and now the option has presented itself, so all of a sudden I'm very, very tempted. Nonetheless, let's stay focused on what is reasonable to do, and that is make explosives a bit cheaper. The chemical plants have been built, so hopefully this will help out, and we can start using our new methodologies and new production methods across some more places. We should also consider using the investment pool a bit further. That's gathering a lot of money right now. Perhaps the opium plantations in North Bengal can be expanded a little bit. Again, we need opium not just for the people now and for the exports, but also for first aid and just the medical assistance for all of our military, expeditions, let's call them. So this should help out, I suppose. And again, I'm pretty sure the investment pool can cover the entire cost over here. And maybe now that we have the top spot for coffee production, we can go ahead and chase after the top spot for opium production as well. Do we still have the top spot for coffee? Yes, we do. Beautiful stuff. And oh my goodness, when did this happen? I missed it. But folks, we are rank 7. And if the golden colors over here didn't give it away, we are a great power. There it is. There it is. A fully recognized great power in the Indian subcontinent has risen. The Sikh Empire grows ever more powerful, and just look at the huge benefits we get from that. Extra maneuvers per diplomatic play, 100 extra maneuvers, mind you, more maximum declared interest, so if we want to go around declaring even more interest, we can do that, plus 1,000 influence and further reduced loan interest rates. All very fantastic things. Let's go ahead and improve our relations with more of our, let's call them future vassals, I suppose. Let's go ahead and improve relations with you. Let's go ahead and improve, actually, you know what, no, cancel that, because it occurs to me, now that we have, not great power, I think it was available with major power status, but since we own a bit of Sikh Rajputana, I believe Jodhpur, Bikaner, Jaipur, and Mewar as well are all going to give us the option to return state, which means that we would actually acquire the entire state as opposed to have them as a puppet. And again, I think that's because we hold on to Sikh Rajputana, which is just one of the many parts of the split state. As you can see over here highlighted in the white on the map over there. Yeah, excellent. So we don't have to improve our relations with these guys because we can actually take them all for ourselves. But who doesn't like us? Orissa, Nagpur, Bastar, no, everybody kind of gets along with us. Portugal, hey, come on, let's begin improving relations over here. For some reason, we've become antagonistic towards us, eh? I don't know where that's coming from, but we can improve relations there for sure. We can also consider improving relations with, sure, Hyderabad. Why not? Oh, right, because we're already doing it. Nagpur, then. Improve relations over here. They're wary right now, so we can adjust that. And I think that'll be it for the time being. But why don't we go ahead and also declare some additional interest? It would be nice, I think, to have some interests in, let's say, Canada. Let's declare an interest among the Dixie territories. Or do we go with the Pacific coast? No, this is all Canada. And Russia. Looks like Dixie includes the United States, the Confederate States, as well as Mexico, so that's a big group. No one from South America or Central America. We're maxed out for the time being, but some more naval bases will help us take care of that. And let me assure you, our future war in the subcontinent will secure us many more naval bases. It's not too far away now. Our infamy has been dropping steadily. So we're getting there. And at the same time, money's looking pretty good as well. So why don't we go ahead and take a look at some other opportunities as far as developing for the people's needs. You know what? One more step of the chemical plants, because explosives are still ridiculously expensive. We're going to need a lot of explosives. We also need a lot of sulfur. So down to Sindh once more, and let's upgrade these sulfur mines too. Still making money. Nope. Wiggling up and down. Technically still making money as the shell gun gets unlocked. I mean, I'm fine with this. I'm fine with a bit of a hit here because the gold reserves have started to accumulate, and we definitely need sulfur ASAP because, as you can see, the financial situation over here is problematic, to say the least. But shell gun unlocked, which is nice. We can get the smooth bores going for the arms industry. Don't know if that's actually something we're going to want to pursue. We do need to upgrade our arms industries, though, to just get more coming. And at the same time, would you look at that? Hydraulic cranes have begun to spread to us. So that means we can actually switch our research to something else entirely. I mean, my goodness, what are the chances, eh? Now, I know previously I was talking about chasing after dynamite, but rather than spend 4 years getting dynamite, I'm going to spend 29 months getting chemical bleaching, because that will allow us to use paper bleaching to produce more paper at our paper mills without having to upgrade them, at least temporarily, right? All it takes is dye and sulfur, and that's stuff that we're working on already, and it also increases employment for a vast variety of pop types, so that's all good stuff. And again, it'll only take 29 months, so let's go ahead with chemical bleaching next and allow the hydraulic cranes to be spread to us instead. I do love that we're technically still making money despite building two things at the same time. That investment pool, though, let's go ahead and use some of that money. Back to North Bengal we go, back to our opium plantations here, and let's go ahead and stack another pair of upgrades over here, because I do believe they'll complete at, they won't complete at the same time.
Fair enough, let's go ahead and let's keep them. Let's leave them be. It's fine. They don't have to finish at the same time. I just liked it when they did that. We're still the #2 producer of opium in the world. When we take Bihar, which will be eventually, we'll become the #1 producer just by virtue of having Bihar. We could instead, of course, seek Baroda. I don't know if that'll make as much of a difference, but I'm not in a rush to get #1 position over here because we're already a great power. I would like to sure be a higher rank, but being great power is a good start as far as all of our efforts are concerned. There's a huge gap between where we are at #7 and where Austria itself is, for example, at 1064 prestige, give or take a couple numbers as it wiggles around. So it'll take some effort to get up there, but hey, we could walk past the East India Company. We could get past the Confederate States of America. I can't believe they still exist. The thing is, they have the vast majority of the troops available in North America. The United States of America have this many battalions and conscripted battalions. The Confederate States of America have access to this many because they have all of these extremely populous states. It is wild to me that that's the way the dice rolled, basically. But hey, here we are, right? The Confederate States are here to stay, I think. All right, these sulfur mines have been completed and also fully staffed, so they're producing a fair bit of sulfur. That should in turn allow the chemical plants over here to produce things a bit more cheaply, and as a result of that, hopefully they'll be able to employ more people. It does look like numbers are going up, but you can see that weekly balance isn't as high as it needs to be until it fires people. Fair enough. Oh no, it didn't fire people. It just got upgraded. Okay, all right, cool. We'll see how this goes. It looks like things are going all right. Pulled quite a few people, but also lost quite a few people. This will be interesting. People are chasing their salaries, right? But why don't we go ahead and turn back around to the Sindhi sulfur mines to start using nitroglycerin here so that we'll get the explosives to be a bit more expensive, but at the same time, we'll also produce sulfur at a higher rate and scale, which should then further make it cheaper for our chemical plants over here to produce that set of explosives in the first place. It's this bit of a feedback loop we have going on over here. Let's go ahead and actually get our coal mines using nitroglycerin. We already have that. How about the iron mines then, right? As mechanized workshops become available, this is going to be huge, but let's set that aside for the time being and first stay focused on the task at hand, which is heading on over to our iron mines over here and getting them to use nitroglycerin as well. If we take a look, hopefully the price isn't going to go through the roof as we let a little bit of time move forward. We might need to upgrade the chemical plants a bit more, but for the time being, things are looking okay at least. Oh no, there we go. Price skyrockets. Fair enough. We can afford these upgrades, so let's go ahead and keep them going. They are still trying to employ more people, but let's be real here. That's not going to be enough. Let's go ahead and expand one more step. 23 weeks, that's not too bad. But with the mechanized workshops, we can make some big changes. Back to our buildings, over to the urban section over here. To the textile mills we go, where we can start using sewing machines. It'll, yes, draw more tools and fabric and dye. Wow, dye actually becomes very expensive in quite a few states. Interesting. Very interesting. Worth it, I think. It'll make clothes significantly cheaper, and we can consider managing the prices across the board for other things as well. So sewing machines for the textile mills. We'll keep an eye on all this, of course, as the English begin to migrate out of, I must assume, somewhere in the Sikh Empire towards South Sumatra. All right, fair enough. Enjoy. You won't be missed. I mean, you will be missed if you were hard workers, but otherwise you won't be missed. Apart from this, though, let's go ahead and take a look at the textile mills some more, because we now have access to the mechanized looms, right? Even more tools being consumed, replacing quite a few laborers. Let's go ahead and avoid this, actually, for the time being. These businesses would make more money if we make the substitution, despite the increased cost of tools, but I don't want to do that. I want to make sure we have those tools at a bit more of an affordable price. But let's head on over to the furniture manufactories and get all these guys using mechanized workshops as well. Again, adding to the price of tools. Wood seems to maintain its price despite the additional drain here. We'll lose some laborers, but we'll gain engineers and machinists, and we'll also be producing a lot more furniture. I don't know if it adds to luxury furniture as well. Let's go ahead and take a look over here. I don't think it does. I think it's just regular furniture. So mechanized workshop it is, because luxury furniture comes from the precision tools. And that's all, I believe. Throughput, of course, is helping add to these numbers, but that's too bad. We might need to upgrade the furniture manufacturers just to get more luxury furniture coming. We could try and establish an import route, not enough convoys to get anything meaningful going, unfortunately, so we'll leave that be for the time being. And when we have the new technology with the cranes spread, we'll upgrade all of our ports using the investment pool's money for sure. Oh wow, tools are becoming prohibitive over here in their availability. Can we import tools from anybody nearby? No, not really. All right, fair enough. So money goes into that industry as well. And I might just need to consider undoing some of the changes I've made recently. Hopefully a couple of upgrades to the tooling workshops will do the trick. We do have money in the bank that'll allow us to take on a deficit as we're doing construction. But hopefully it's not too much trouble to bring this price right back down. All right, well, the tooling workshops are just about done, and hopefully as they start to employ more people, we'll see the price drop, but we'll hopefully also see the numbers be maintained, right? That's also a bit of an issue. Meanwhile, pharmaceuticals have been unlocked. Again, we're not going to invest in the health system institution anytime soon, but it's good to have that option, I suppose. And let's see what spreads in its stead. Realism, fair enough, gives us access to a few options, but perhaps the increase to our prestige is the biggest thing we'll find interesting. And it does look like we've reduced the price of tools. At the same time, construction has halted, so that might be part of the reason why tools have become so much cheaper and more available. We could go ahead and continue to invest in the upgrades to these tooling workshops. Tools are always needed. Coal is always needed. Steel, iron, these things are always needed, so it doesn't hurt to have more of that stuff happening at basically all times. Meanwhile, over here, the chemical plant continues to struggle with employees, and I just don't get it, because it looks as though some places are paying quite a bit for explosives, but these guys are just not able to get those prices. I could further cheapen some of their input goods, obviously, and that should help out, I suppose. Or I could make it a bit more expensive to purchase fertilizer, and that way when they sell it, they'll be able to make more money out of it. Let's go ahead and send some out to the Russian market, and hopefully as that levels up, it'll be a bit more viable to produce fertilizer, and then these chemical plants will be able to keep a full load, let's call it, of employees, and that'll help produce just more goods, right? That's what we need here. Actually, I wouldn't be surprised if this back and forth dance across a couple of buildings isn't what's causing the fluctuation of our radicalism. I mean, people are being fired, and then yes, they're being rehired, but then they're being fired again, so this might be the issue over here. Meanwhile, a separate issue in a separate part of the world, the Zulu have been subjugated by the British Empire. Fair enough, no surprises there. But just wanted to make note of that because it did pop up as we were having a conversation about our own situation. Money is looking pretty good though, so there's that, while I'm building something no less. So why don't we go ahead and pursue another upgrade to our sulfur mines over here, because again, when we eventually do get chemical bleaching, we will need additional sulfur. We'll also need additional dyes, but dye plantations can be funded by our investment pool, which is starting to get quite large. So let's head on over to South Bengal, I suppose, which is our largest provider of dyes, and increase the plantation size over here by just a little bit. Double tap that, there we go. And one thing that does occur to me is that infrastructure might be suffering once more. We have a decent amount over here. What about a Punjab? Oh yeah, see, there you go. That might be what's causing some of the pricing issues. What about Kashmir? Kashmir is okay. Delhi, you're fine. All right, okay, you know what? Punjab desperately needs, I think, another step of the railway over here. Well, this is cute. Awadh must be industrializing. They're importing engines from our market. That's sweet. It's nice to see them make some progress. Do they like us? Do they still find us to be their enemy? I guess so. Willing to take our things, but not our friendship. I wanted to actually make them a part of our union, or perhaps even make them a puppet or something, but that can sit on the back burner for the time being. And wow, dyes have actually become one of our more expensive goods over here, so I'm glad we decided to invest in these upgrades over here as another peace treaty kicks off with regards to the Saxony situation. But I'm really hoping that the price of dyes drops, because we're about to get access to chemical bleaching, and I'm going to dive in on that basically right away. Wow, wood has been canceled, but coal has been added. Awadh is really industrializing. They're perhaps getting inspired by us, as our hydraulic cranes have been unlocked, increasing the maximum port level, and there is chemical bleaching as well. All right, first of all, let's go ahead and see how much money the investment pool has. A lot. And all they're doing right now is helping build the railway. So let's use that investment pool money, which, by the way, is growing at a decent rate. This used to be just 3 point something K last session, I believe, so it's almost quadrupled in size. Again, investing in the plantations allows the investment pool to grow faster, because part of that money comes right back, right? So it's sort of a cycle. It's self-fulfilling. Anyway, back on task over here, we're going to upgrade the port here. We're going to upgrade the port in South Bengal as well, and we're going to upgrade the port in Mysore too. That should help us increase our just access to trade around the world. And let's go ahead and see what we decide to research next as Power of the Purse begins to spread. That's nice. Plus 10 naval base max level. I don't think we'll be reaching that anytime soon, but it is good to have that on hand for the future naval superiority we're going to have to exhibit. Now I think we can go ahead and invest in dynamite. Again, we want to make sure we're producing enough dynamite because it does consume more explosives, but also helps produce so much more. I'm not going to lie, I was momentarily tempted by electrical generation over here. It'll just take 3 years to research, but no. Let's stick to dynamite. Let's stick to the original plan. That'll again allow us to get to pump jacks after we get the steam donkey as well. All these guys just unable to maintain cash reserves is rather sad to see. Both the steel mills and the chemical plants require a bit of iron, so why don't we go ahead and improve the iron mines in Baluchistan and hopefully get a little bit more out of these guys. Despite using these modern production methods, it's just not enough, unfortunately. But hey, we have the money to spare to invest, so let's go ahead and do that. And why don't we also go ahead and head on over to Kashmir and get some more upgrades to these coal mines going as well. Oh, you know what's happening? You know why this money isn't dropping? It's because we're not technically building either of these things right now. So this will certainly take a hit when the time comes, but that'll be in about 13 or 15 or so weeks time, and that's fine. That's fine. Let it happen when it happens. I ultimately also want to increase our coal production because I would very much like to further reduce the price of services. I mean, these guys are paying way too much for way too many things that they consume way too much of. And that's just not good for anybody. Yes, we are still applying that downward pressure to radicalism, though recently it's been sort of seeing an upward trend that I don't like. I want to make sure we keep that in check, right? And at the same time, on the topic of radicalism, we have some more secret societies over here, this time in Sindh. Clandestine groups of academics in Sindh are plotting against the state to advance the misguided cause of the intelligentsia. Once more, leave them be, they pose no threat. I'm sure things will be just fine. Now we have improved fertilizers spreading as well. That should be good and helpful for all of our food production and farms in general. I'll take that gladly. Oh, and what do we have here? Great Britain has kicked off a fresh diplomatic play in Indonesia. They want to... Ooh, okay, they want to take a little bit of territory down over here, it looks like. Yeah, they want to puppet these guys. Man, do I like the presence of Great Britain here. They have a lot of people siding with them. A lot of decent powers here and there, I suppose, which I don't think I want to contend with. Why would I? What do I have to gain by helping these guys out? Nothing, really. I mean, it looks as though the Dutch obviously... Rather, I should say the Dutch East Indies specifically obviously have a vested interest in the area. They would probably like to take that for themselves. But who am I to help them? Who am I to get involved over here when I still have work to do over here? No, let it be. Let it be. We need that money for our own development. Well, things are certainly heating up over here. My goodness. The target has become cocky because not only have the Dutch East Indies gotten involved, so too have Siak, who don't really matter, but Great Qing has decided to step in as well. That is hilarious. That is also a potential opportunity. See, if the Great Qing decide to move in and eat a lot of damage as a result of a war that will hopefully last a tremendous amount of time, we might be able to swing in and strike at the Great Qing again. I would like to open their market. For what reason? What reason do we have anymore? All that opium could be exported to literally anywhere else because of all the people who now are going to be getting first aid for their armies and all that good stuff. Do I really need to open the Qing market? Do I really need to do that? I like it from a potential story perspective, I suppose, a goal that the Western powers were not able to accomplish, but of course we were instead. But I just don't know if it's worth it anymore. If we take a look at consumption on the map over here, I mean, yeah, this is a lot of people consuming a lot of opium, but hey, those numbers aren't too small up over here either, right? So something to consider and reconsider. We'll see how this diplomatic play plays out first. Let's see if it does actually happen, because now it looks as though Great Britain is once more confident. Who did they manage to sway over to get them feeling that way? My goodness. All right. Oh, nope. Here we go again. Now we flip back to a cocky target, uncertain, confident. Oh, it keeps flipping back and forth. All right, you know what? Let's just let it play out how it plays out. We have to stay focused on our own tasks, right? Oh, hello. An attempt to sway. This is not something I've seen in a very, very, very long time. Happens so very rarely. They would owe us an obligation. I'm sorry, but there's not much you can do for me. There's really not much you can do for me. What do you have? What are you worth? Nothing, really. Nothing at all. I'm afraid I must decline. Such a bummer, because it's pretty cool to how those mechanics kick off and trigger, but there's just no reason for us to get involved there. Again, we need to save money up. We got to get our gold reserves climbing, and we're doing a decent job of that. We also want to preserve life, as we are about to go into another war. And if I were to go to war, then I would want to, get something. And why tack on to my infamy? We're doing such a good job of letting it drop. We're almost, in fact, ready to go to war. It's not that far away now. So let's just stay focused over here and let the rest of the world take care of itself until we have to get involved on that stage. My goodness, these guys are cocky again. Oh, Russia's become interested. Ooh, okay. All right. This is going to be a fun one. This is this is feeling like a world war almost. We're not there yet. We need a few more major powers to get involved. There's no French involvement over here. The Dutch are... This is funny. The Dutch East Indies on one side, Netherlands on the other side. That's funny. That's funny. But otherwise, like the French aren't involved. We don't have Prussian involvement. So the Ottomans aren't involved. Getting there, though. Big numbers. Lots of them puppets, to be fair. Lots of them puppets. And now lots of folks declaring neutrality as well. Yeah, people are going to die. There's going to be a lot of suffering in this war. I'm very curious to keep an eye on this. I wish I could pin this. There's no way to pin it up over here so I could keep an eye on it, eh? It would be very interesting to see how this develops. We'll get updates over time when it concludes, but I want to see these numbers. I find them so fascinating. On the topic of fascinating numbers, look at our tariffs. Again, all those ports have pretty much been completed. We have one more upgrade left to go. There it is, and now it's going to take some time to employ people and all that good stuff. But those upgrades have allowed our trade routes to grow, and you can see the sudden spike in the tariffs we've been charging. We're up at 20k now. That is a very interesting number. Another interesting number is actually this one down over here. Radicalism seems to be stabilized at this point, maybe even starting to climb up. So I need to really invest in that. Let's go ahead and double and triple and quadruple down on these textile mills, because these guys are producing the luxury clothes that so many people are using but paying way too much for. And at the same time, the tooling workshops need a bit more help, eh? These guys are still causing us some trouble. Can we import more from anywhere? The French market, the Spanish market? Sure, actually there are quite a few options. Let's go ahead and deal with the French. Absolutely, why not? Just try and manage the prices over here. Again, they're expensive now. They're extra expensive now because of the construction that's going on, but this does need handling. At the same time, the coal mines over here are about to be completed. The price over here looks pretty decent, and I think that'll allow us to implement some street lighting. So why don't we go ahead and take a look at Punjab? I feel like it's fair for this urban center to be the first to include gas streetlights. That'll produce significantly more services. It'll also eat up quite a bit of coal, my lord. All right, well, the coal mine just finished being built, so hopefully the price here will drop as soon as it spikes. But that's nice. Extra services. The price of services goes down as well. Using market squares. Can't use public trams, unfortunately, because we just don't have enough excess transportation. I don't want to get into that right now. So let's avoid that for the time being. Delhi can perhaps also have the gas streetlights over here. Again, the coal mine pricing is just a little bit crazy. Let's upgrade this coal mine one more step. Again, we have a lot of money in the bank. 2.07 million are our gold reserves, so we should definitely spend some of that money to get some of this stuff going. My goodness, here I was so excited to see these textile mills about to get completed back to back to back, and meanwhile the Ottoman Empire has decided to start importing clothes with a trade route that'll grow to level 11. I don't want to get rid of that many clothes. I'm trying to keep them cheap for my people. Let's head on over to the market screen over here and ensure that anybody who's trying to steal our clothes is going to pay top dollar for it. We are protecting domestic supply over here, and you know what? The more I say it, the more I realize that we are absolutely leading into protectionism, and we should probably look at, adopting it formally and officially. But yes, we are limiting the size of this now to level 10, but we should make a decent bit of money off of the tariffs at the very least, so that's something, I guess. But again, the primary goal was to keep the price down at our local market. Hopefully we're able to still maintain that. Less about just the clothes, at least luxury clothes will be impacted as well, but still, I'm trying to make things cheaper for our people. There's that first upgrade done, and in comes the second one shortly, alongside additional employment. Yeah, there you go, there you go. Keep an eye on these prices. Hopefully they'll start dipping down right away, and these prices as well should hopefully start dipping down too, as more and more upgrades complete. And now it's just a matter of finding all the employees to bring those prices down, right? And it seems as though another politician has died. The leader, I assume, of the rural folk has left us. And if we take a look at them now, they've become unhappy because of Jassa Kunwar as what, a reformer? Yeah, he opposes child labor allowed, fair enough. And he strongly opposes national supremacy. That's hurting a little bit. Old ways slows our tech spread down a touch. So I'm not a fan of that, but not the worst thing that could be happening right now. The worst thing that could be happening right now is that we ignore the investment pool and its ability to invest further in the supply of opium to our beautiful and glorious empire. Let's go ahead and add a couple more stacks to the opium plantation in North Bengal, I believe. Yes, is our largest one. So add a couple of those and hopefully keep the price of opium down as well, because that is something that our people like to consume. They're not obsessed, fortunately, but they do like to use it. And let's go ahead and get the railway over here upgraded as well. As you can see over here, the Sikh market access is significantly reduced, and we need just a little bit more infrastructure over here. I would really like to start incorporating North Bengal as well. Mysore has been incorporated fully, but in order to do that, we will need to try and get more out of the government administration building over here. If we start the standardized filing system, it'll increase our costs, obviously. We're at plus 499. Still not enough to afford the entire incorporation over here. I just wonder how I should adjust my approach here. Do I build some government administration buildings elsewhere, or do I wait to acquire them through our future conquests and use that bureaucracy instead? Maybe that's the way to play it. Leaving a lot of tax money on the table, I'm sure, with North Bengal right now, but we're comfortable for the time being, so let's leave it at that, I suppose. Meanwhile, here's a group of people who aren't comfortable, the people working at the dye works where there's been an accident. Several workers died today at the Punjab dye works when an industrial-sized tub of hot dye accidentally spilled out over the workshop floor and the unsuspecting workers. Locals are upset about the incident, claiming that the poor safety regulations in the hot and dangerous workplace are to blame for the accident, and are urging the government to take action. As rescue workers left the scene, several workshop employees were left dying. My goodness, they doubled down on that one, didn't they? Doubled down, that's the way to do it with puns. We shall all die sooner or later. They shall not have died in vain. If doubling down isn't enough, then triple and quadruple down instead. This will increase the mortality of laborers employed in manufacturing. It'll also make laborers in Punjab a bit more radical. Or they shall not have died in vain will actually increase the strength of trade unions. It'll improve their interest group approval rating as well. And it will increase mortality of laborers too, but to a equivalent degree. Oh, fair enough. Oh, okay, so this is mainly with regards to if we wanted trade unions to be strengthened or not. And you know what? I would like trade unions to be strengthened. And so, yes, they shall not have died in vain. Good stuff, good stuff. Their deaths will have dire consequences, I suppose, as the trade unions hopefully grow a bit more powerful over the next little while. This is looking pretty good, at least, so there's that. We'll see how it plays out over the next, I don't know, decade or so. On the topic of things playing out, our attempt at providing cheap luxury clothes didn't play out very well. Yes, the price dropped a little bit, but nowhere near enough. We're the number 3 producer worldwide of luxury clothes. We're the number 4 producer of clothes worldwide as well, but we still can't keep these prices down. Let's go ahead and further expand the textile mills. Again, lots of people use clothes. Almost literally everybody uses clothes, and then luxury clothes as well. We are seeing some serious issues as far as affordability of these goods is concerned. Luxury furniture continues to be ludicrously expensive as well, and there's only so much we can do about that. Let's go ahead and invest further in the furniture manufactories as well, I suppose. Let's double down on these guys. It'll take a fair bit of time and a fair bit of money, but of course, some of these guys are only queued up while this railway is being paid for by the investment pool over here. Tariffs, meanwhile, continue to grow in size and number. Clothes are actually providing us with almost 2.8k pounds. That is not too shabby, and you can see the tariffs continue to grow over time. On the topic of things growing over time, our GDP is beginning to really skyrocket now. My goodness. Again, we've been industrializing, we've been increasing our rate of production of extremely valuable goods, but we've also been consuming those valuable goods, maintaining their value, and that's allowed us to really increase the GDP a lot faster, which in turn, of course, affects our minting. Don't forget how that works, right? GDP plays into this. And on the topic of minting, I do suppose we could invest perhaps in the gold mines over here and their use of nitroglycerin. Just not sure what that's going to do to this, but it does help our minting ever so slightly. Not actually, yeah, plus 1,000. It's not significant considering how much money we're making, but hey, it's nice to have bigger numbers. Let's keep it up. You know, it's really looking like we need more of the same over here. Services, furniture, clothes, services, furniture, clothes. If we take a look at our middling, or rather our middle strata, I should say, there's actually quite a few of them living below the minimum expected standard of living, and that's really not ideal. I wonder if some of them are in places that don't have ideal market access. That could be part of the problem. We are improving the situation across the board. Hopefully a bit more work can be done, I suppose, for North Bengal and the Sikh Rajputana region as well, and maybe that'll do the trick. We can take a look at what's the situation over here. We lack engines. Oh, fair enough. Let's go ahead and invest some money in that as well then. I know I saw some imports begin, so people are taking away our engines too now, but let's go ahead and, yep, add to the motor industries over here, but otherwise it is furniture, services, clothes, right? Furniture, services, clothes. Let's head on over to all of our urban centers and go ahead and get them providing gas streetlights. This might absolutely explode the price of coal over here just overnight, but hopefully the reduced price of services will make a much bigger difference than the increased price of coal, because again, as we take a look over here, coal, yes, very expensive, but it's barely, an essential expense, right? Barely. Services, though, now being used by quite a few people, is cheaper than the expected, so hopefully that makes the difference I needed to make while we work on furniture and clothes, but also, yes, coal, don't worry. I am worried about that for our businesses. Don't forget, it's not just about our pops, it is about our businesses as well, so we'll go ahead and upgrade these coal mines when we get the opportunity to do so, which should be right now, in fact, so let's get her done, right? I should also perhaps consider upgrading our construction sectors. We're getting to that point where we're constantly building because we're able to afford it. So now's the time to, switch gears and invest in that a little bit. I'm not sure if, yes, excellent, the investment pool is interested in diving in on that. So the one at Punjab is going to upgrade by 2 steps, and let's go ahead and actually make that the priority. Let's get these guys done earlier. It'll take just 3 weeks, and hopefully that'll speed up the construction of our construction queue and allow us to build more things at the same time, perhaps, is more what I'm getting at. And as the construction sector is complete, we now have hopefully a bit more productivity coming our way as far as these construction sectors are concerned, up to 68. Again, they do have to employ people still, right? If we go ahead to Punjab, you'll see we are still employing people, up to 71. Excellent, and that should be distributed to the 4th item in the list over here. Good stuff, good stuff. Looks like we've finally made a dent as far as standard of living is concerned. This is nice because it was really starting to stagnate and it was really making me a little nervous, but this is good, and it seems as though our successes here have triggered the City of Plenty in South Bengal. The most prominent members of South Bengal high society have been seen organizing luxurious parties in the new and lavish urban buildings. Let them celebrate, I think, right? No. Why just let them celebrate? The party will never end. Let's go for it. We have 400,000 loyalist nihilism in Punjab. An anti-clerical and anti-monarchist movement known as nihilism has taken hold among the intelligentsia. Led by Hari Ramgarhia, these dangerous thinkers are sure to be a thorn in the side of the status quo. Whatever, it doesn't matter. They are an affront to all that is righteous about our nation. All that escapes their lips is treason of the highest order. Never before have we seen such brazen disregard for our divine right to rule. They are the greatest possible threat to society. Do not worry, my liege. These men are nihilists. There's nothing to be afraid of. Perhaps they have a point. The intelligentsia will be more likely to select nihilist leaders for 25 years. It'll also bring Hari Ramgarhia and the thriving nihilist movement. Let's take a look at the detail screen over here. As a nihilist, what does that mean? It means you are neutral towards a bunch of things. You're strongly opposed to theocracy, opposed to monarchy as well, but you endorse total separation. Now, you're in the intelligentsia, you would be in the intelligentsia, which, if I'm not mistaken, is already on that boat, aren't they? They very much like total separation. The thing is, getting Buddy in might allow us to make them a bit happier if we encourage some of those changes. Total separation, there we go. It is, yeah, I guess not. I guess it's just because of Buddy here. All right, fair enough. Hari, you are going to perhaps be welcome with open arms. We could instead say this is treason, heresy. Still maintains the same situation, but it makes him more popular. Versus calling him or bringing a ban about on nihilist literature, reducing his popularity. So the choice is between maximized popularity, middling popularity, or reduced popularity. Let's go with maximized popularity. perhaps they have a point. Again, one of the weirdest things about Victoria 3 is that we're not really playing a character. It's not like Crusader Kings, where we are the king or emperor or whatever, and so all the decisions we make are based on that. We are playing the society. We're playing the world at large as per the nation we've picked, right? So I'm not choosing to allow nihilism as the king who's about to be ousted, but I think the way our world has developed over the last however long, with the use of philosophy at our universities and with all the ways we've been shifting power away from the landowners and the traditional hierarchical system, I think that would invite a conversation questioning the monarch, right? And so that's where that came from. Multiculturalism is something the intelligentsia is interested in, but so too are the rural folk. See, this is good. We could really make the intelligentsia happy by doing something like multiculturalism. It'll upset the Sikh priesthood and the petite bourgeoisie, but what does this do for us? It allows us to accept all cultures. Oh, hang on a second. That's huge for that. Hang on a second. That's absolutely huge for our radicalization situation. Why didn't we get this going sooner? Is this a recent change? Did I miss the addition of Jassa Kunwar and the fact that he's open to that? Oh, you know what? That might be it. I think that's why. He just came about and I didn't pay enough attention to the fact that he's open to multiculturalism. Oh my goodness, yes, let's do this. This is our opportunity. This is it. Enact multiculturalism. This will accept all cultures and it'll make the intelligentsia happy. We can finally pull them into the government and then we can start making some very, very big changes. All right, that is extremely exciting. I'm very pumped about that because I've been waiting for an opportunity to do this for so long. My goodness, that is huge. That is absolutely huge. As is this number. Negative 1.13 million radicals since the 1st of October. That's a year ago. Looking good. Not too bad. Not too bad at all. Let's go ahead and use some more of that investment pool money, meanwhile, up over here at North Bengal to continue building up the opium plantations. And let's also use the government's money to do what? We have more of these motor industries coming through. We've got the coal mines about to be upgraded over here as well. You know what? Let's go ahead and pile some more money into the coal mine upgrades because I feel like that's becoming more and more urgent as we move forward. The price is not dropping quickly enough. And again, coal is used basically everywhere, especially since now we're working on making services cheaper through the lit street lights and all that kind of stuff. We should also really consider the glassworks being upgraded. We have the option of using bone china, but that removes the production, or rather changes the production of glass. I believe it gets rid of it to a degree. We're at 48 right now. This will take us down to 44, but we'll get some more employees. Well, hang on a second. If this surpasses 48, then we should certainly move to using bone china, because it will provide more porcelain as well. The thing about glass is that I would like to start using the advanced markets as well at our urban centers, because that'll also provide even more services, further reducing the cost of one of the most widely used items. Now, enacting multiculturalism has actually gotten rid of the political movement, it seems, which is fine by me. I actually prefer getting multiculturalism in there sooner, because again, that would allow us to get the intelligentsia into our government. In fact, why are we holding off on that? Let's head on over to the government panel. Let's head on over to a reformation over here. Bring the intelligentsia in. It'll hurt our legitimacy, and I guess that's perhaps why we're waiting. Fair enough. Let's go ahead and exit reform government and close that panel. Keep our legitimacy where it is right now so that we can at least enact this quicker, hopefully. Because again, the legitimacy has a direct impact on how long it takes to get policy change to happen. Over here, meanwhile, by the way, if you didn't notice earlier, Great Britain is making great strides against Great Qing. They have lashed out from Hong Kong over here, and they've taken over the southern extents of Great Qing. I shouldn't call it extents. It's nothing compared to the scale of the entire nation, obviously, but they're making some solid moves, and I imagine the Great Qing are dying in droves, though Great Britain is actually zeroed out as far as their war support is concerned, because nobody's able to strike at their capital or hurt their war goals or anything like that. It's capped at zero, and nothing's shifting over here. Over 1 million people dead on this side over here, the Akinese side. Over 1 million dead. 750,000 wounded. My goodness, so many lives lost, and for what? And for what? There we go. Coal pricing is looking a lot better now. That's promising. Let's go ahead and perhaps invest in paper mills as well, because we would like to reduce the cost of paper for us and our pops. And let's get that paper bleaching going as well, though dyes continue to be extremely expensive. Very exciting. We can use our investment pools to invest in the dye plantations, right? And I forget where exactly is the highest producer of dyes that we have. South Bengal. That's what it was. South Bengal. Let's go ahead and improve dye plantations over here and try and just reduce the price a little bit. Things are looking pretty good. Things are looking very good. Look at that. Just continuing to find height over here, and over here continuing to find depths as this war that I wasn't even caring about has ended. I thought it was about this war. Nonetheless, stay focused on task over here. Let's upgrade this by another couple of steps, I think. Bringing the price of dyes down will be quite helpful for our paper mills as they continue to upgrade. I want to make sure they stay profitable, obviously. And what else can we do over here in terms of upgrades? We can go ahead and get the glassworks upgraded a couple of steps as well. Again, it'll take some time, it'll take some money, but neither of those are concerns right now. We are looking pretty good as far as our infamy is concerned too, and it's almost time for war. I mean, ends pretty low. This next war is going to be a very big one. We've got the infamy room for it. We have the ceiling, and I'm not as concerned as I once was about France, joining the other side. We get along quite well. We get along with the Portuguese, not as well, but well enough, perhaps. We've also now unlocked realism, which gives us the extra prestige, which is quite nice. We'll see what starts spreading towards us next, but feeling very good about our current circumstances and where we stand. Again, I think the next war against the East India Company is going to be a war against the East India Company. Meanwhile, the labor movement has started to spread to us. This is interesting. Everything's coming up in favor of the trade unions, I suppose. They're still marginalized, but I do believe the labor movement is a big thing that helps them grow, right? Yes, once the labor movement technology has been unlocked, they will get rid of this negative attraction modifier, and that should really help them get a bit more power. Okay, hang on a second. Are we seriously making 28k despite building 2 structures? That's ridiculous. Where's all this money coming from? Oh my god, look at the tariffs. And that's pretty good. Consumption taxes have been on the rise. Poll taxes are pretty steady. Income tax slowly on the rise as well. I mean, geez, minting. Yeah, that got a bit of a bump when we got the nitroglycerin happening, I suppose. My lord. Again, the dye plantations we're not paying for, but we're still paying about half of the bill over here and staying afloat. Feels good. Oh, you know what it probably was? It was probably the decrease in the cost of paper. Yeah, that's what did it. That was a huge dip because paper became so much cheaper with the use of bleaching. So that's really cool. All right, fair enough. Glad to see and understand where it's coming from. Goods for military buildings are still tremendously expensive, and I just wonder if we shouldn't invest in that a little bit as well. Sure, you know what? Let's go ahead and do it. Let's go ahead and upgrade the arms industries by a couple of steps. God forbid we ever lose Punjab, and God forbid I ever forget to keep building our railways over here as well. Down we go to the railway, and up goes its number and level, because we need this pretty urgently as we are running low on the infrastructure here. Let's crank this up to what? Above the arms industries, I suppose? Sure, that seems good to me. So it is being worked on right now. Again, the improved construction sector allows us to do more at the same time. Glassworks being worked on next, and that should hopefully bring the price of glass down, allowing us to further now upgrade our urban centers. But what is this? Discord within the landowners. This is a curiosity indeed. An influential faction within the landowners has grown frustrated with their co-members' neutrality on the topic of multiculturalism. Themselves in favor of the law, they have now resolved to form a separate political faction intent on passing it. We've seen something similar in the past. We can go ahead and use their support to pass the bill, or the intelligentsia extend an open hand to these mavericks. Interesting, that increases the success chance as well, and it also makes the intelligentsia a bit more popular. You know what? That sounds like a double whammy. Apart from losing about 5% success chance there, it seems to be the optimal option. Sure, the intelligentsia extend an open hand to these mavericks. Good stuff. And meanwhile, at the same time, we have a play for power going down in Punjab. Gunda Dhillon, leader of the industrialists, has made a remarkable play for power in the capital in order to secure a spot for industrialists within the government. However, it's not entirely clear if they should be rewarded for their novel tactics. Again, we've seen this in the past as well, but a minor distraction over here, as it seems the Albanian people located in the Indian subcontinent are now leaving to the state of Senegal. Farewell. Hope they treat you well. I don't know why you're leaving. It's a beautiful part of the world over here. We welcome them with open arms. Well, actually, we're about to welcome them with open arms. Too bad they're leaving. Anyway, Gunda Dhillon of the industrialists. Should we give the industrialists a bit more political strength, or should we reduce their love of us and weaken them further? Again, we want to avoid tax avoidance. And do we like or hate the industrialists? I mean, they are interesting. They have quite a few, things they support that we would also like to pursue. So I don't want to weaken them too hard. Sure, let's recognize this man for this. Let's recognize him. Looks like the leader of the petite bourgeoisie died as well. And so now his replacement, Banda Mal over here, is making these guys quite loyal because he supports our current law change to enact multiculturalism. They are unfortunately not strong enough to pull into the government. I could use their extra support to increase the chance of enacting, but hey, it's fine right now. It's not too bad. 27% is not that low. Maybe it'll actually get pulled off in one swoop. And Dynamite's been unlocked, and the first thing Dynamite blew up was our gorgeous number over here. What happened? It was all green and all good, but all of a sudden this number turned positive red. You know what must have happened? And maybe I missed it. We might have crossed a threshold of a giant bump. No, radicalization just popped up. What? Why? What did I do? Unfulfilled political movement demands? Oh, I see. Enact landed voting. That's what just happened. These guys just popped up at the same time. All right, fair enough. We'll take a look at that after multiculturalism has been dealt with. So the Dynamite had nothing to do with it. Other things are blowing us up, but let's take a look at how we can use this Dynamite, and if we can use this Dynamite, because if we take a look at the chemical plants over here, yeah, it's looking like the price is relatively stable. Why don't we go ahead and hit up the iron mines, because iron's quite expensive, and go ahead and get them using Dynamite. It actually gets rid of the mortality, which is nice. It's a safer thing to use, but it reduces how much money they actually make over here ever so slightly. Either way, though, the price of iron will drop with this Dynamite being used over here, so let's get that going. And up over here at Kashmir, the coal mines should use Dynamite as well. Explosives are going to become tremendously expensive, unfortunately, but hey, we know how to counter that. We counter that simply by building upgrades to these chemical plants. That'll hopefully keep the prices down and keep things affordable as well as we make these other things cheaper too. Apart from upgrading our mines, there isn't much else to be done. Explosive shells at the munition plants, I suppose. Let's go ahead and take a look at the munitions plants over here and see what kind of a difference that makes. Gives us more ammo, reducing the cost of it, but it needs more explosives and more lead. Looks like we can actually afford to do that. We'll lose some laborers as far as employment is concerned, but we'll hopefully replace them with some engineers and machinists instead. That looks like a good trade to me. And why don't we go ahead and take a look at what else? Vacuum evaporation for chemical plants. Ooh, I missed that. Over to our chemical plants. And vacuum evaporation will need, or rather it'll produce less fertilizer. That's good. We don't need that much fertilizer. And it'll focus more on explosives. Oh, this is wonderful. Wonderful stuff. Okay, good. In that case, let's head on back to our ranches who continue to not produce fertilizer to the same scale that we were previously doing, and let's get them using intensive grazing ranches, keeping the price of fertilizer down as well. I do believe that makes these guys a bit more productive, which means they're paying higher salaries and people are going to be a fair sight happier as a result. This was huge. This was great. Dynamite has really helped us out already. Let's not forget, though, to pick out a new piece of technology to research. I'm thinking we'll hit up the steam donkey so that we can use the 3 years it takes to research that and prepare ourselves for the pump jacks that come next. That'll take an additional 3 years, but the automatic irrigation should help with all of these plantations. It will adjust employment a little bit. It'll also consume some engines, but as you can see, the production impact is quite large as well. Meanwhile, booming industries has been completed, another journal entry that's been hopefully helpful to us. With a recent expansion in both the production and consumption of explosives in our country, there's been much debate on whether the military or the industrial sector should have priority. Why should we worry about how much dirt we can move when we should be thinking about how to defend our country? All you care about is starting more wars. We should put this to use for our workers instead. They are more important. Very interesting. We should try and support both industries, increasing the throughput of chemical plants buildings. Okay, we could give the industrial sector priority, helping all of the mines, or we could give the military sector priority, helping the munitions plants. Ooh, you know what? We'll give both priority. Just help produce more explosives, keep the prices down across both industries. That should be the way to go. Yeah, let's support both industries, because while we've spent all this time developing our production capabilities, let's not forget the fact that we're about to go to war. We're not that far away. We're actually very close. We could do it right now if we wanted to. We could make a huge move right about now. I'm kind of tempted. All right, here's what we'll do. We'll at least wait until the 2 arms industries are completed. We'll see what kind of an impact that has on the pricing over here, and then we'll make the decision whether we go to war right away or if we wait just a little bit longer, because truth be told, starting to get a little impatient, starting to get a little antsy. Maybe we could wait until multiculturalism hasn't been enacted, though who knows how long that'll take, right? It's a dice roll. And at the same time, looks like over here, the United States has kicked off a diplomatic play against Mexico, trying to take some states back, it seems like. They want Utah and Texas for themselves. Fair enough. Let's see if they come out on top. The United States, will they stand alone, actually, in this diplomatic play? No, they have the support of the Indian territory, which I think is one of their puppets, perhaps. But, yeah, they are one of their puppets. Well, that's an interesting move. Seems as though the French are no longer involved in North America. That little side plot has been taken care of, I guess. But interesting times ahead for Mexico and the United States, I suppose. Oh, this isn't nice. The radical count has really skyrocketed. That's really unfortunate. We worked so hard. What happened here? Unfulfilled political movement. Really? They just kicked off. They only just kicked off. I suppose we go back to the conversation about services, furniture, and clothes. Primarily now furniture and clothes, and perhaps most importantly furniture. It remains extremely ludicrously expensive. So back to Punjab and back to our furniture manufactories and back to upgrading these guys. Let's go 4 steps. Let's go 4 steps. This needs to drop. This isn't enough. It needs to go down significantly more. Now, obviously, it'll take time for that to get built. These guys are just queued up for the time being, but that's okay. We have time. Time is on our side. Things are calm over here. No one's trying to pick a fight with us. But when we do go to war, we have to stop construction, I think, almost entirely, because it's going to be unaffordable otherwise. Remember, we have also got all of our conscripts using skirmish infantry and first aid as well. And truth be told, I'm kind of tempted, as I said previously, to give them mobile artillery too. It really helps with offense, defense, and damage in all sorts of ways, though of course it'll make artillery a bit more expensive. You know what, let's go ahead and do it. And it'll take some time for their adjustment to complete, right? They're at negative, oh boy, 33. Oh, that'll take a very long time to adjust. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. We'll be okay. We'll be okay, especially as we complete these upgrades to these arms industries. Again, this isn't going to take into account the conscription centers, right? Because those aren't active right now, and only when they get activated do we actually see the impact of their use of all this equipment. Nonetheless, if we can lower the prices, that'll make me much happier, and we're not going to switch to smooth bores because we need small arms just as much as we need artillery over here. Let's take a look at our investment pool once more. They are procuring a lot of wealth. Let's go back to North Bengal and once more upgrade the opium plantations, and perhaps we could upgrade the dye plantations as well. Yes, I suppose that might actually be... No, hold on, hang on a second. That's South Bengal. I always... and that was a misclick. That's okay, not the end of the world. Now I'll remember that South Bengal is dye plantations and North Bengal is opium. Power of the Purse has been unlocked, giving us higher level naval bases potentially. And what is this popular playwright endorsing our current reform? In the midst of the debate surrounding multiculturalism, one of the country's leading playwrights, strongly associated with the intelligentsia, has staged a widely acclaimed play whose politically laden theme makes no secret of the author's desire for the law to be passed. Multiculturalism will be on everyone's lips now, or perhaps this puts the intelligentsia in a good light, or maybe it's just about appealing to the masses and improving our prestige. No. Multiculturalism will be on everyone's lips now. Let's get that baby spreading. Let's get that baby approved. We're at 37.5% chance of success, but landed voting is getting more and more support, and so the radicalization from that is really upsetting. Oh man, ooh. Did this really end in a white peace? How many lives were lost for a white peace? But I guess at least it was a white peace. These guys, they put up a good fight and they held on to everything. My goodness though, for real. Great Ting, let's take a look over here, your population. I mean, one can assume that was the war causing a decent hit there. Yikes. That's scary. That's scary. You know what else is scary? This. I don't like this. I gotta deal with that political movement. I wouldn't mind enacting landed voting at this point in time, but I'm just focused on multiculturalism for the time being. And it's just stacking these numbers on. Now, don't get me wrong, decreases in standard of living are hurting as well, so why don't we go ahead and check out our budget, maybe go lower on the taxation, because that will actually reduce the number of radicals we get from standard of living decreases, and maybe that'll counteract the political movement. Who knows? We'll see. Obviously, that is hurting our economy a fair bit. We're now eating into our wealth a lot more quickly. We have a fair bit of wealth, but eating into it constantly is how you lose it, and we have a lot of construction still coming. Granted, the opium plantations and the dye plantations are going to be done by our investment pool, so there is that. However, still a little nervous about seeing this be a negative again. Oh wow, did Great Britain finally end their embargo on us? We didn't even have to produce tea. Actually, on that note, we should take a look and see if we can't export tea to the British and how much it would make us. You know what? Not nearly enough. Is it because of convoy count? Nah, it's because of a few things. All right, fair enough, fair enough. I was hoping there'd be an opportunity there, much like opium to the Great Qing, but no such luck. Wow, on the one hand, we're talking about moving on from the old ways, and on the other hand, a monument to the Maharaja will be erected. Perhaps not everyone wishes to be reminded of the Maharaja, or perhaps we should have a monument worthy of the Maharaja. How are the armed forces doing right now? How happy or upset are they? You know what? I don't want to upset them too much more. Part of this is coming from their low wages, but just a little concerned about that hitting the material waste. And I would like to be closer to patriotic fervor, as always. So, fair enough. We'll have a monument worthy of the Maharaja. And, I mean, radicalism has already been on the rise, so what's a little bit more when it's happening anyway, right? Now, we do have the glass works over here all up and running, so why don't we invest in using that glass, as I previously said I would, by heading on over to here, heading on over to our urban centers, and getting these guys perhaps all using market squares. Well, let's start with the bigger ones. Punjab is already doing so. Down over here, we can take a look at South Bengal using the market squares over here to produce more services. Ooh, glass becomes more expensive immediately, but hopefully the adjustment to services cost is worth it, because again, that's somewhat universal, right? We could at the same time go ahead and improve this a bit further as well, buying us some more, rather I should say, reducing the price of glass some more, as the completion of all of these upgrades to the furniture manufactories should hopefully reduce the price of luxury furniture. How is it so ludicrously expensive? It's like no matter how much we reduce its price, it just goes right back up. It just goes right back up. Come on. Oh, finally. Oh my goodness. It's actually turned silver. Still ridiculously above the base price, but this is promising. We have another upgrade right around the corner. There it is. And now you can see this business seems to be losing money. The cash reserves are dropping, but the weekly balance is perfectly fine. It fluctuated. It became yellow again. Are you for real? Or gold, I should say. Look at that. It refuses to stay down. Come on. Come on, stay down, stay down. And now we don't have enough hardwood to produce all these goods. All right, let's establish an import route over here. Bring it in from the Qing market, sure. I don't know if that'll be enough. Yeah, it looks like we'll be fine there. And oh, have we finally broken through? Have we finally got this price to drop? No, no, don't turn back around, damn it. Don't you dare turn back around. Well, while we've been preoccupied with luxury furniture, it seems as though the politicians have been preoccupied with passing multiculturalism. Beautiful stuff. That should really help the situation as far as radicalization is concerned. That should get rid of at least part of the discrimination-based radicalization. Don't forget, religion is a separate thing from culture, and I'm really excited to see how this has an impact on all of our comings and goings moving forward. I'm also really excited to see how our war looks when it kicks off next time. Folks, our infamy is at a flat zero. That opens up so many opportunities for our war with the East India Company. It's going to be huge. It's going to be absolutely massive. France might still get involved. No sight of Portugal, so that's interesting. And I really hope that France decides to side with us or decides to stay out of it. But you know what? I'm not sure about our chances there. We continue to become more and more powerful. We are now a great power at rank 6. Very excited and pleased to be able to say that we have surpassed Prussia and the Confederate States of America. East India Company, we're coming for you next. Folks, I hope you enjoyed this session. I certainly did. It is always nice to see peace and prosperity work out to help with productivity, the 3 Ps of Punjab, I suppose. But next session is going to kick off a massive war right at the start. So I hope you're excited for that as well, because we're going to make some serious gains, and we're going to hurt the EIC more than they've ever been hurt before. Folks, as always, a massive thanks goes out to all of the channel members and patrons who've been supporting the channel on a monthly basis. Y'all keep us alive and running smoothly. And of course, a big old thanks goes out to each and every one of you for watching. Until next time, cheers.